Many of you may be familiar with Club Shay Shay. For those of you who aren't, it's a podcast that's hosted by Shannon Sharp, the former NFL football player. It's the podcast that I think last year the comedian Cat Williams appeared on, and that interview broke the internet, as the kids say. Well, here recently he had the rapper Killer Mike on the show to talk about a number of things, and my name came up in this interview. And, my name came up when Killer Mike was talking about Martin Luther King and exposing his legacy. And I wanted to play some of that for you. So here that goes.
There's a brother named Chad. I like the brother. He's a tradesman, but he's an intellectual. But this brother's been going on a terrible rant about Dr. King. He's probably going to put this up on a clip, and I hope he do. He's very much against Marxism and communism, but he's taking some low blows to me in talking about Dr. King. And I say, I wonder who's funding my brother. He's a black man. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because you can talk about Dr. King being a alleged pervert, having orgies, things of that nature, having multiple women. But we aren't talking about our founding fathers as sex traffickers. And if you're going to criticize Dr. King and you don't find time to criticize the so many white men that founded our country, then that tells me that somebody's paying you to do what you're doing. And although I support your ability, your right to do that, I'm saying that we got to play the game fair, Bubba. And we got to say oftentimes great men fall short of the glory of God, but that don't mean they can't be redeemed. And that does not mean that dream isn't a redeeming thing.
So Killer Mike brings up some very interesting points. I'll attempt to address them here and now. Number one, I've been actually told by a number of people that, well, Chad, you can't criticize or be too harsh in judging MLK when you're not willing to judge the founding fathers. First of all, I do actually judge the founding fathers, but I judge them primarily on their ideas, much the same as I judge King primarily based on his ideas. Yes, I have mentioned the philandering and the orgies and the cocaine that King was involved in, but I spend very little time focusing on that. I spend more time focusing on his ideas, his ideology, what he believed. I don't agree with all of the founding fathers. Some had great ideas, in my opinion, about what kind of country America should be. Men like Patrick Henry and Robert Yates and others did not. I could talk about that extensively if anyone's interested, although it's been my experience that most people aren't. But when you look at the ideas and the rhetoric of Martin Luther King, it's clear that he was a Marxist. He's someone who had communistic ideas. And those ideas have done more harm to black Americans than good.
When talking about have black people done better, we keep doing better and we keep getting knocked down. We keep doing better and we keep doing knocked down. So I'm gonna tell people, this is your homework. Trying to convince you. I want you to go home tonight. I want you to listen to Thomas Sowell.
The thing about Killer Mike is that Killer Mike is a reader. I know that he's read Thomas Sowell. I know that he's read other men like Thomas Sowell, and so naturally he knows about the upward trajectory, the upward mobility that blacks were experiencing in this country in terms of homeownership, in terms of family formation, in terms of entrepreneurship, all before the civil rights movement. Killer Mike knows this not only from a literary or a scholarly perspective, he also knows it from a personal perspective because he talks all the time about his own lineage, his own family who accrued houses and land and were doing well for themselves. And so my challenge to Killer Mike and everyone else for that matter is to ask the question, what really did we benefit from the civil rights movement? When you consider the fact that 3 out of 4 black children were growing up in 2-parent households before the civil rights movement, when you consider the fact that black America, by and large, were a productive, entrepreneurial, family-oriented, church-going people, only to after the civil rights movement, we are now in a position where 70+% of black children are growing up in single parent households or are just outright being aborted. The crime, the frivolousness, and all the other pathology that makes up so-called black culture, it becomes glaringly obvious that we traded the real, genuine, tangible progress for a symbol. And that symbol, of course, is Martin Luther King Jr. And I don't know about you, I'd rather have real progress than symbols. The blueprint laid forth by that symbol is a cruel departure from where black Americans were. The blueprint that Martin Luther King laid forth was one of agitation, picketing, relying not on your hands and your limbs and the mind that God gave you to make your way in this world, but depending on government action and legislation to accommodate you. That's not how I want to live. And when you look at the communities and large cities who do think that way, those places aren't doing so great. I think Killer Mike is on point when he's advocating for entrepreneurship and trades and family formation, education, and all the rest. But you actually serve a counterproductive function when in the same breath you praise the symbolic figures whose blueprint and rhetoric actually debilitates and restricts those good values for which you're advocating. You can't sweep all of this under the rug by saying, well, none of us are perfect, we all fall short of the glory. Well, the difference is that unlike those of us who just are imperfect, we don't do everything the way we ought to do them, we make mistakes. What King was doing wasn't sheer imperfection. It was actually quite diabolical because he was being deliberately deceptive. This man literally adorned himself with the garb of a Christian pastor, knowing full well he didn't fundamentally believe in the Christian faith. And he said as much in his very own writings, that he didn't believe in the virgin birth, didn't believe that Jesus rose from the dead, didn't believe basically the thing that makes you a Christian. He bastardized that role, a role that at one point in the so-called black community, youngsters honored, they admired, and they looked up to their pastors. King would take that role and utilize it and employ it in the work of agitation, Marxism, and subversion. This actually had real-time effects on the youth who were emboldened to talk down to genuine pastors who did not preach what King preached.
I ain't no Uncle Tom.
Well,
See,
salvation
you
is
can't
free, son.
brainwash me.
Jesus said, first ye seek the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, all of these things will be added unto you.
Heaven is on earth, mind you, brother.
Where you gonna go when we start revolution? Whose side are you gonna be on? Are you still gonna be on your knees?
I will die standing up for God, regardless of any circumstance.
Okay. Have God ever told you to let this white man rule you like he is?
Well, young man, you first must be born again. God is a
No, I
spirit.
ain't born
They that
again.
worship-
I
they
ain't
that
got to
worship
be
him must
born
worship him in
again.
spirit
See, I
and
was
truth.
born in a new generation.
That-
You could your mother could have brainwashed you, but can't nobody brainwash me. I'm ready. It's gonna take young boys like us to win the revolution.
These young people are saying that there must be a revolution of values in our country. Many of the values of so-called white middle-class society are values that need to be reviewed and re-evaluated, and in a real sense they need to be changed. So I think the young people in the Negro community who are raising these questions are raising some very profound questions about our total society. In other words, they are saying that there must be a restructuring of the architecture of our society where values are concerned.
This is a man that we're told to celebrate and emulate every year with a national holiday named in his honor. He's a man whose ideas influence public policy and legislation to this very day. And what you find is that that legislation that he influences smacks of socialist ideology. We are not better because of the legacy of Martin Luther King. And we have to, at the very least, ask the questions to find out why, no matter how much of a nostalgic or admirable attachment we have to the symbols. So yes, I will ask the questions and answer the questions, as I do in the documentary miniseries, The MLK Project, which premieres October 3rd, by the way. The point is, ideas have consequences, and the ideas of Martin Luther King perpetually yields bad fruit, but it doesn't have to if we don't allow it to.